Silver Creek Studios, I'm Jared, and this is the BFIBs Almanac. It's Sunday here, and we just wrapped up the weekend series against the Metropolitans. There's plenty to discuss, so let's dig in. Like I said, we finished up the series against the Mets. We took 2 of 3. Friday was the lone loss, and it was a close one, kind of a heartbreaker, frustrating loss, 5-4. Adam Wainwright took the loss in that game. Saturday was a 10-2 win with Michaelis going the longest he's gone this year. And Sunday, we just finished up a 6-4 win with Dakota Hudson getting his first win of the year. So let's take a closer look. So Friday was Adam Wainwright's start, and he had, by most accounts, a pretty bad outing. He only got through 3 innings pitched. I believe he came out for the 4th and didn't get an out before they had to take him out. He did give up 4 runs, 3 were earned, 8 hits, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So definitely not a clean outing from him, not efficient. They basically were ready to hit against Wainwright, and they did. He said as much afterwards. He gave the Mets credit for having a game plan and executing, but he said that he was making his pitches. He was mostly throwing it where he wanted. They were just hitting it. To me, I saw too many breaking balls that were hanging. They weren't breaking as much as you'd like. The placement on his fastball and his off speed was not where you'd really want. I mean, it was left up in the zone too much, and they took advantage. But there were times where he was down and away, and they'd just go down and get it. So you do have to give the Mets hitters credit, but he just didn't seem as sharp as we've seen from him. There was talk about, that if you recall, that Friday night was much cooler temperatures in the 50s and 40s, which may have contributed to, his mediocre performance. His other previous bad outing was on a cold night, and he did much better on the warm days. So maybe there's something to that. I don't think he wants to admit that because he's hoping to pitch in October, which will be pretty chilly. So we'll see how that plays out. But as the weather warms up around here, hopefully he warms up too. The rest of the bullpen was decent. We saw Gallegos, Leon, Webb, Brebbia, Gant, and also another outing from Helsley. He did give up a solo home run again, but he did get through 2 innings pitched, so without any other damage. So pretty effective by the bullpen. Just the 1 run on top of what Wainwright gave up, especially on a short outing by your starter. That's really good. You want to see that from your pen. It's concerning that all those guys had to go and pitch that many innings, but they did a good job. The offense was decent, not great, but decent. Jose Martinez had 3 hits on Friday. Carp and Fowler had 2 hits, and Goldschmidt, Molina, and Lane Thomas each had 1 hit. Thomas's 1 hit was a home run in his first major league at bat. Pretty cool. I believe they put out a stat. Thomas is only the 10th Cardinal to home run in his first at bat. And another notable, somewhat recent, it's actually been a little while, Cardinal to do that was Adam Wainwright, of all people, homered in his first at bat, which was pretty cool. The concerning thing from Friday offensively was there were 11 men left on base. So, we did get those 4 runs on the board, but we left a lot of runs out there. And with Martinez really the only one consistently coming up and getting hits, Carp and Fowler did each have 2. But we got to get more guys getting more RBIs with these RBI situations. So a 5-4 loss on Friday, not the end of the world. Not a terrible outing, but not a good outing either. So Saturday was a totally different story. Miles Michaelis had the best start of the season so far. 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts in a 10-2 win. The offense was clicking, sort of. Not a whole lot better. I mean, it looks like it based on the runs. But when you break it down, so Martinez had 3 hits again in back-to-back games. DeYoung and Molina each had 2 hits. Carp and Goldie and Michaelis each had 1 hit. Michaelis did get an RBI with that hit, and Goldschmidt did have a home run. But they left 7 on base, which wasn't quite as bad as the night before. And 5 players had RBIs. So that was kind of the difference. We had guys getting on, and players were knocking them in with the hits that they got. So I believe the total number of hits in both of those games was the same, I think. I actually didn't write down the total hits, but I believe it was the same. They just got more production out of those hits, more RBIs on Saturday than they did on Friday. So overall, a more productive game, even though statistically with the hits and the types of hits, they weren't really that different. It was just guys were getting on base and we had timely hitting. That's basically what you want to see. Thanks to Michaelis, only Gallegos was used out of the pen. So we definitely got to rest all those guys, all those arms. Basically got a day off on Saturday, which is cool. So good to see Miles Michaelis looking a little sharper, cutting down on the walks, cutting down on the hits, and staying efficient, getting through the game. 8 innings, so way to go. Sunday, Dakota Hudson was just okay, but he still got the win. He went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, all solo home runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So the solo home runs is a concern, 3 home runs. Now, it's good that they were solo home runs. Maybe he was being a little more aggressive with a fastball or something without runners on, and they were hitting it. But you'd like to see him cut down on those home runs. He's had several outings now that have not been clean, and he tends to get tagged with some home runs. So the offense did enough. Goldschmidt had 2 hits, and almost the rest of the lineup had 1 hit apiece. DeYoung, Ozuna, Martinez, Molina, Fowler, and Wong all had 1 hit. We only had 2 walks as a team, but only 6 strikeouts. 6 strikeouts might sound like a lot, but really, in today's standards, that's not too bad. And they only left 6 on base. Now, that kind of means not as many guys were getting on base, but they weren't really leaving guys out there. We did put 6 runs up. So the rest of the pen, besides Miller, which we'll get to, was very good. No walks, 5 strikeouts, and 1 hit. Which was Hicks in the 9th. Heck gave up the 1 hit. But Miller was not that great. Not terrible, but not great. He did give up a home run, a walk, and then he had 2 strikeouts. So the strikeouts are good. You don't want to see the walk. You definitely don't want to see the home run. And he gave it up to Conforto, who's a left-handed batter. You know, it's like that's his job, is to come in and get these lefties out, and they're hitting him hard. And then he also hit Robinson Cano on the hand, who's also a left-handed batter. Now, they ended up calling it a hit ball, which was fielded by Miller and threw to first to get the out, but it definitely hit him on the hand. I had the game on, was watching, but we had family over doing Easter stuff, so I wasn't able to really hear exactly what they were saying and see what was going on, but we were all kind of confused as to why it was a hit versus a hit by pitch. I think it had to do with they determined that he was actually swinging at it. So if you're swinging and get hit by a pitch and the ball goes into play, it's a fair ball. But, you know, of course, the Mets manager comes out. He's arguing about whether it was a swing or a defensive swing, you know, trying to get out of the way, essentially. But they ended up calling him out. So that was kind of weird. But so it's a little concerning. Your lefty, your only lefty, well, you do have Webb now, but your primary lefty reliever comes in, gives up a home run to a lefty batter, and hits another lefty batter. I mean, he can't keep doing that. So even though he had the 2 strikeouts, it wasn't a clean outing. But the rest of the pen looked very good. So definitely nice to take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. I think they're a very similar team to us, definitely record-wise, but I would say skill-wise and, it's just they're a very evenly matched team. Now, we didn't get to face DeGrom, who is kind of their ace, but he's going to have an MRI on Monday. He's having shoulder or arm soreness. They don't seem too worried about it. In fact, I think he even threw a bullpen session, or at least, light catch, after they announced that he wasn't going to pitch and was going to have an MRI. He still went out and threw, so it can't be that bad. But so you could argue that we didn't face their best pitching, but we still got Syndergaard today, kind of rocked him around. and we're effective against their other pitchers. So definitely good to take 2 out of 3. So before we get into, I'm going to look at some offensive stats here, just kind of see where guys are at right now in the season. Before we do that, I'm going to recap the standings. The Pirates lost today. They are 12-7, but they're now in first place. The Cardinals are 12-9. They're 1 game back, so we have the same number of wins, but 2 more losses. So we're 1 game back. Milwaukee is 13-10, so they're 1 game back. We're ahead of them just by percentage points, even though we have the same number of games behind. Chicago is 10-10, 2.5 back, and Cincinnati is 8-13, 5 back. So Pittsburgh's in first. St. Louis and Milwaukee are both 1 game back. Chicago's 2.5 back, and the Reds are 5 back. So that's where we stand. All right, let's break down some of these numbers, or just kind of look at how the offensive numbers look for several of the players. Some guys are really improving. Most of the guys are improving. Some guys more than others, but Carp is still kind of the one that's not really caught on fire yet. His slugging is really good, but his batting average is only .213, and his on-base percentage is only .312. It's not a terrible on-base percentage, but you'd really like to see that closer to .340, .350 or better for Carp. So his average is low, his on-base percentage is kind of low, but his slugging is really high. He's got 21 strikeouts, which is a little concerning. 3 home runs, and 9 of his 17 hits have been for extra bases. So more than half of his hits are extra base hits. So he's kind of making it count when he does get a hit, which is why his slugging is so high, but he's not getting enough hits, not getting on base enough. Too many strikeouts. So he's going to get better, but we'd like to see that happen a little sooner. Goldschmidt is improving. His batting average is up to .247. His on-base percentage is at .340, and his slugging is .671. So a very good slugging. Not the highest on the team, but still very good. 29 strikeouts, so that's concerning, and that has been a trend for Goldschmidt, and I kind of think it might continue to be throughout the season, but his strikeouts are way up. He does have 8 home runs, but only 2 doubles, so he doesn't have a lot of these extra base hits, but he does still have the power numbers there with the home runs, so he's coming around, getting a little better with his walks, and bringing that average and on-base percentage up. So good to see that. As he improves, I think that's going to help Carp improve too. Ozuna has been on fire. He's got his average up to .271. His on-base is .363, and his slugging is .843. That's a 1.205 OPS. That's crazy good. 18 strikeouts, 8 home runs, and 12 of his 19 hits have been for extra bases. So well over 60%. So he's right around 60% of his hits are for extra bases. So he's definitely looking much, much better ever since he fell off that wall, actually. He's been looking much better. So good to see Ozuna coming around. I think that can only obviously help the lineup, but he's going to get those guys in front of him really going. Dexter Fowler has been much better. His batting average is up to .274. His on-base percentage is .375. Now, his slugging is only .435. You can't say anything really great about his slugging, but his on-base percentage is really good. Average is getting up there. 18 strikeouts, but no home runs, which is a little concerning. We don't really think of him as a power hitter, but you would expect to have him have 2 or 3 by now. He does have 5 doubles, though, so I think he's got a stolen base mixed in there, too. So Fowler's been improved a whole lot. I know he's changed his hitting approach a little bit. He's opened up his stance. Not necessarily his stance, but opened up his swing. His actual mechanics of his swing, his hips are opening up, which is allowing him to get through the ball a little quicker and see the ball. So good to see him get going. I know everybody's hard on Fowler. I've been hard on Fowler. But with all the injuries we've had in the outfield, we need to get him going. And he is definitely looking better. So, speaking of on fire and getting better, Jose Martinez is batting .333 with a .346 on base percentage. So, it's not a bad on base percentage, but that's almost all batting average. He's not taking hardly any walks at all. But he's slugging .529. Now, he's got 11 strikeouts. Which isn't bad, but he also has fewer at-bats than everybody else. So those strikeouts are kind of right up there with everybody else. Only 1 home run, which is a little odd. We think of him as a power hitter, but he really kind of isn't. He's more of a contact line drive hitter, which we've talked about many episodes ago kind of why he's not that prototypical DH. But still, he's got 3 doubles and 9 RBIs in 51 at-bats, compared to a lot of these guys at-bats are in the 80s. So, significantly less at-bats, and he's putting up good numbers. So definitely good to see him. And again, like Fowler, we need these outfielders to be contributing as we've got injuries to O'Neill and Bader. Rounding out here, Colton Wong has been very consistent, 288 on average, 422 on base percentage, crazy good, and a 667 slugging percentage. He's only got 13 strikeouts, 13 walks, 4 home runs, and 8 of his 19 have been for extra bases. And he has 4 stolen bases. So he's kind of contributing all around. Defensively, he's been very good. He's batting, hitting for average, hitting for power, getting on base with walks. He's just kind of doing it all. He's stealing bases. He's been very, very good. And what I like to see about Wong is he is not swinging for the fences every time. I think that was his downfall in the past. He considered himself to be not only a leadoff guy, which I don't necessarily think he should be, though his on-base percentage right now would say he should, but he thought of himself as a home run hitter, a power guy. He can definitely get into one. We've all seen it many times. He's got a great home run swing, but when he's trying to do that, he's doing himself a disservice and the team a disservice. So it's been very good to see him hitting to all sides of the field and hitting it where it's pitched and just doing his job as a hitter. So he's been much better. Finally, DeYoung is slugging 1.145. I believe that's second on the team behind Ozuna. Very, very good. And Molina has 12 RBI and 6 doubles, which is the most on the team. So, he's been struggling, but he's definitely gotten much better lately, and his doubles have been racking up. So Molina is doing his job as well. So very good to see the offense all around getting going. We've had some guys coming off the bench contributing. We've had some guys getting called up contributing. The stars in the lineup are starting to come around, and as they do, they're going to help everybody else come around that much more. So it's been fun to watch these guys kind of get going. I think they can get actually quite a bit better, and I think they will. But so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But it is good to see, especially Ozuna getting hot, Fowler getting better, DeYoung staying hot. He's really been hot all season. Same with Wong. And as we see Goldschmidt and Karp getting going, this lineup's going to be dangerous. So coming up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got a 3-game series with the Brewers here in St. Louis. Man, we've seen a lot of the Brewers lately. I'm kind of tired of it, but, it is exciting. We're going to be neck and neck with them all season. So we need to get these wins while we can. Let's hope that we take 2 out of 3, if not a sweep, and see what we can do at home. That's we've been playing a bunch in Milwaukee in that dome, which is brutal. But I think it should be nice weather this week. We're going to get a little bit of mix of weather, but Cards should be hot, and let's see if those bats can stay hot too. So, all right, that's all I have for this episode. Please feel free to contact the show. You can get a hold of us on Twitter and Instagram at BFIBs Almanac. You can email bfibsalmanac@gmail.com, and you can get a hold of us on YouTube, BFIBs Almanac Podcast. So, I appreciate you all listening. Until next time, I'm Jared, and this is the BFIBs Almanac.